investigation. The crime was reported at 2:25 p.m. by a kind of scary old man, sir. Poor Maggie had passed out from the shock. It must have been real tough for her. The victim didn't have any identification on him. But we figured out who he was pretty quick. And then the investigation went smoothly. When Maggie was searched, we found the lottery ticket and the bottle of poison. And that was it. There was nothing else missing from the crime scene. You identified the victim and secured your prime suspect. Very good. Last chance to convince the court you're a real lawyer, Wright. Don't count on any more cross-examinations after this one, so let the fun begin. Alright, I'm gonna press on everything then. It's that sort of thing, it's like, there's a few, like, things in that I'm sort of like, on, but in this case, I want to try and get as much as I can. It's very much, I'm thinking already, like, let me show you what I would normally do. It's like, how did you find out who he was pretty quickly? That's the bit that got me. It's like, how did you find that out? That's where I feel like there should be some information there that is key that we don't have. But, again, I feel we should press on everything just to be sure in this case. Scary old man, Detective Gumshoe. There's an old man who's a regular at the restaurant where the incident happened. We're obviously talking about the same old man. Officers were dispatched right after the report came in, but the old guy still made a fuss. What took you so long? Then he hurled abuse at them. And seeds. Seeds. It was nothing. I caught each one of them with my teeth. I guess not even the mighty Gadot can avoid being attacked by that guy. The old man was the only other customer in the place at the time. He took his time finding a payphone, apparently, so he was late reporting the crime. While Maggie had passed out from the shock, it must have been real tough for her. How long was the defendant unconscious for? The officers got to the crime scene at around 2:40. Maggie was still out cold in the kitchen at the time. It took another 10 minutes or so before she came to. I would have liked to have been on the scene myself. Bet you would have liked to have carried out the search too. I'd have loved to see Maggie asleep like that, all pretty and peaceful. Alright. You're a professional detective, Gumshoe, not a professional birdwatcher. Save the romantics for your own time, detective. All we need to know about this investigation. Oops, I guess I'm pretty red right now, aren't I? The victim didn't have any identification on him. See, here's where I wanted to start actually pressing. He didn't have any. Are you saying that it was stolen then? No, I don't think so. The victim didn't have a driver's license or even a credit card on him, pal. All he had was 58 cents in his wallet. 58 cents? 32? Yeah, I can't believe I found someone with less in their wallet than me, pal. The victim sounds like he was a thoroughly miserable young man. Some kind of outlaw. Why not give him a bit of an edge? I think I'm onto something here. Yeah, that's the thing I noticed. It's like, how did you figure out who he was pretty quickly? Wait a sec. Huh? Did I say something dumb again? Let me paraphrase what you just testified to this court. The victim didn't have any form of ID on him. That's basically what you said, yes? Yeah, basically. In that case, how were you able to identify the victim so quickly? Oh, he's so let down. He's got the whole sagging shoulders and poppy eyes thing going. There's a prescription bag on the victim's table along with a lottery ticket. Prescription for what? Seems Mr. Glenn L. visited his doctor before he went to Tribulations. What are they for, though? Got the victim's name from the medical records at the doc, who was prescribed the meds. It's a reliable enough source for the court. Yes, but what's the meds? What should I do? Should I leave this alone or ask to hear more? More. Ask about the bag. So what sort of medicine was in the bag? Well, actually, the bag we found was empty. Okay. Huh? Yeah, completely empty. It was completely empty. Victim's prescription bag added to the court record. Huh. You're entering an empty paper bag as evidence. Desperate, are you, Trite? Now, what happened with the investigation after that, Detective? Where did the contents go? That's so important. When Maggie was searched, we found the lottery ticket and the bottle of poison. And that was it. There was nothing else missing from the crime scene. I don't find a hole in this testimony. Oh, I meant to press it. I just started reading it again. The judge is going to hand down his verdict. Gumshoe isn't giving us anything to work with. And we can't find any contradiction. He doesn't give us something. Yeah, that's true. Maggie and Gumshoe are like Dumb and Dumber. Our only hope is that they were so dumb they missed something obvious. Come on, Gumshoe, be the dumbest you've ever been. Right, so where were we? Victim identity, we were there. Right, so when Maggie was searched, we found the lottery ticket and the bottle of poison. But the defendant had been passed out for a while, correct? In that case, isn't it possible someone planted the evidence in Maggie's pocket? Hey, yeah, you nailed it, pal. Yes, it happens to me all the time, falling asleep in the courtroom. We had a department party the other day, and when I got home, I was wearing the boss's shoes.
Objection!
Keep up this crazy testimony, Detective, and those shoes will end up down your throat. Sorry. So, Trite, someone planted the evidence in Maggie's pocket. That's a pretty bold statement. She had to back it up with some evidence. I'd love to if I had any. It appears you have no evidence to support your theory, Mr. Wright. Continue with your testimony, witness. And that was it. There was nothing else missing from the crime scene. I don't find a hole in this testimony. I did it again. I just ended up reading it like, no. I was meant to press on it. There. So, the $500,000 lottery ticket and the bottle of poison were accounted for. Yeah. Interesting. It's true those two items are accounted for. But wasn't there another lottery ticket that was stolen that day? Oh, yeah. The one the restaurant owner took. He won a whole $1 with it. What a lucky guy, huh? And they're just going to let him get away with it? It's just $1, Detective. Guess no one cares when it's that little. Except for Gumshoe. I don't find a hole in this testimony the judge is going to hand down. His verdict. Well, alright then, so okay, let's... The only thing I'm thinking right now is the fact, like, the prescription bag. Figured out that the investigation went smoothly, you found out who was through that. And that was it, there was nothing else missing from the crime scene. It's like, what about the contents of the bag? Where's that?
Objection!
Detective Gumshoe, I think I should point something out to you. There is just one small contradiction in your testimony. Oh, finally! I'm getting all anxious just waiting, so hurry up, will you? You testified that nothing else was missing from the crime scene. However, the prescription bag you mentioned was empty. Did the officers recover the medicine from the scene of the crime later? No, they didn't. The victim was given a prescription right before going to Tribulations. Where, then, did the medicine disappear to? You're too cool, pal. Oh, it's quite cool, yes. Indeed. Due consideration wasn't given to the victim's prescription in the previous trial. Witness, why do you always overlook such vital pieces of evidence? I guess that's the most careless thing I've ever done so far, huh? The victim was killed by poison, and the victim's medicine mysteriously disappeared. The victim's own prescription could have been the lethal poison itself. Why would you get a prescription for that? Order! Order! Well, Mr. Gadot, what do we have to say to that? Huh. That's all. What? Read for the court the name of the clinic on the prescription bag, if you will. Uh-oh. What's the clinic's name got to do with anything? New Ear...
Otolaryngological.
What?
Otolaryngological.
Otolaryngological... What?
Otolaryngological.
What's that in French?
Otolaryngologique.
What? One of those. One of those. Just what kind of illness was the victim suffering from, Mr. Gadot? Hardly an illness, Your Honor. More like a bit of war wound, you could say. A war wound? The day before the incident, Mr. Elg found himself in a fight. He took a blow to the side of the head and ruptured his eardrum. He ruptured his eardrum? And what on earth was the prescription he was given? It was a cream that was to be applied topically, inside his ear canal, not to be ingested. What? It's mentioned in the autopsy report if you read the fine print. They found traces of the medication in the victim's left ear. Yes, here it is, in very, very fine print. Seems Mr. L correctly applied some of his medicine while he was at Trilogy. Therefore, it would be absurd to believe that he would have eaten his medication. It seems that this medication is irrelevant to the case after all. Damn it. No. Nick, if you don't think of something quick, it'll all be over. She's right. But I can't get away with any old weak objection. What should I do? Push it, because it's like, okay, medication was used. Where's the rest of it? It can't have just been one dose, and if it was one dose, there should be something left over that applied it. It wasn't just cream in a bag or anything like that, was it? Only moments ago, Mr. Gadot made the following statement. Seems Mr. L correctly applied some of his medication while he was at Trilogy. If that's the case, then why was the medication not found at the scene of the crime? But the medication in question was for topical use inside the ear canal.
Objection!
That doesn't change the fact that it could not be found at the crime scene. However insignificant it may seem, it's a lawyer's duty to pursue the truth.
Objection!
You know as well as I do that the medication is irrelevant. It's not, though. Hardly seems likely that the prescription drug would contain potassium cyanide. No, but it's probably linking to something else that's going on.
Objection!
It hardly seems likely that the coffee the waitress served would contain it either. But it did. The possibility is undeniable. That's enough. Mr. Gadot, is the detective the only witness the prosecution wishes to call? Mr. Gadot? I've got my own witness I'd like to call, sir. It's the old man who was there in the restaurant on the day of the murder. Victor Kudo, the pigeon hater. Very well. The matter of the disappearing medication seems little more than trivial at best. However, it wasn't explored at all in the previous trial, and that is something that bothers me. Yay. Good job, Nick. The court will adjourn for a 10-minute recess, after which we will hear the prosecution's next witness. I suppose this means I'll just have to finish you off in my last 6 cups. Court is adjourned for recess. January 7th, 11:03 a.m. District Court. Defendant Lobby. Number 1. Phew. That was close. Tell me about it. Nearly died in there. That's my line, sir. No, it's my line. I think I really did die a little bit. Looks like we all nearly died in there. Can't believe Detective Gumshoe. How could he betray us like that? Huh? He said he'd help me. But he totally set me up. I don't think he meant to do that, Maggie. He was backed into a corner. I mean, the guy's got to do his job, right? It's okay, I know all about lies and betrayal. I've had them my whole life. Aww. But it really hurt this time. Felt like someone punched me hard in the stomach. I hate that guy, I don't ever want to see him again. Oh, Gumshoe. So the next witness is going to be that old guy from the park, right? Yeah, Mr. Kudo, something like that. Lover of waitress outfits and projectile seeds. Eddie's gonna be really stubborn. I mean, he's pretty set in his ways, you know? Yeah, he's a big old grouch. Are you gonna be able to handle him, Nick? Yeah, I can take whatever he throws at me, even those never-ending bird seeds. January 7th, 11:15 AM, District Court. Courtroom number 4. Number 4 is not good. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Maggie Brute. Mr. Gadot, your next witness, please. Prosecution calls the lucky old-timer who caught the show over a cup of coffee. Will the witness please take the stand? Name and occupation, if you don't mind. The name is Victor Kudo, born and bred in the land of the rising sun. Honor and duty are what make me. Mind you, I can be quite emotional at times, too. We don't need to hear about that, Mr. Kudo. Just tell the court your occupation. My occupation? Listen, young'un. How much call do you think there is for kimono embroidery here? Kimono embroidery? That's what I do, or did back in Japan. I embroidered family crests on kimonos. My ancestors were embroidering kimonos before this country even existed. Wow, a real craftsman. They're a dying breed? Hey, maybe you could embroider my costume sometime. Anyway, like I said, there's not much demand for that kind of thing here. So I had to take a job working the cash register at a burger joint, pretending to smile. That burger joint would have been better off putting him in the kitchen. Now then, witness. Were you in the restaurant at the time of the incident? Oh, yes. I was eating some seeds over a cup of Javicino. Seeds? Do you think these are, I see. You saw everything that happened, Gramps. Did I? Oh, yes. Oh, yes, I did. I saw it all. And then please, tell the court. We're all ears. Sure. I'll tell you. I'll tell you every last detail. He's really getting into this. What I witnessed. The young man was reading the sports paper. Okay, sports paper. The serving girl brought him a Javicino, but she put something in it. The man took one sip of it, looked like he was in terrible pain, and then collapsed. That's the serving girl right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well. Ooh. Mr. Kudo. She's not a serving girl. Please refer to her as a waitress. Phew. You're as bad as the rest of them. All these newfangled words. What's with the old-fashioned ones, Newfangled? All this talk of radios and glasses. It's wireless and spectacles, I tell you. Excuse me? Listen to me, everyone. Don't forget the old values. Don't let the good old days slip away. Well, I think it's time to begin the cross-examination, Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor. What I witnessed, okay. The young man was reading the sports paper. I would like more information about this. So you saw the victim then? You saw Mr. Glenn Elg. I wanted to know if Gutzon Braun retained his championship or not. So he was looking at the sports paper the victim was reading, huh? The location in question. There are partitions between tables on the same side of the restaurant, right? So what if there are? If you say that you could see the victim, that means you were sitting at a table at the other side of the restaurant, correct? Phew. Got a place to drink Javachino. I don't go to sit. I don't remember which table I was sitting at. Well, that's important. You mean you go there to eye the waitress? Serving girl brought him a Javachino, but she put something in it. When I took one sip of it, it looked like he was in terrible pain and collapsed. Let's press on that. Mr. Kudo, that's a very grave accusation. Are you sure about what you saw? Mr. Kudo never makes mistakes. I dot every T and cross every I. I see. My eyesight's fine. Doctor said I only need spectacles for reading and driving. I bet his eyes are only really fine when he's scoping out a waitress. I saw what the serving girl put into that Javachino as well. But I know what's coming up and something tells me I'm not gonna like it. Press harder. Your Honor, we need more clarification on what was put into the victim's coffee. I'd like to ask that the witness add what he knows about this to his testimony. I agree. What? Witness, will you enlighten us, please? Sure. There's no question about it. She's very conspicuously put some white powder in there. You mean sugar? Did she really put that into the coffee? Doubt me, boy. She took some out of a small brown bottle and sprinkled it in. Couldn't she have been adding sugar? Sugar? In a small brown bottle like that? It's possible. Like that. Witness, could you please describe the bottle in more concrete terms? A bottle like this, perhaps? Oh, there it is. That's the one. That's the bottle of potassium cyanide, I presume. So what did the accused put into the coffee? I think it's clear, don't you? Van took one sip of it. It looked like he was in terrible pain and then collapsed. He took just one sip. You young'uns, you waste everything. Those Javachinos cost $8. In the good old days, we would have drank every last drop, eaten the cup, and then died. Congratulations, you have earned the title of battiest man to grace a courtroom. I don't know, look at the judge. So it was an immediate death. Well, with potassium cyanide, I suppose that is possible. Oh, yes, he slumped over without so much as a twitch. But the Javachino I just drank turned sour in my stomach. Oh, yes, I know that feeling. Well, yeah, you get that if you drink coffee, I mean. This is why you don't drink coffee, it's bad for your stomach. And the waitress? I presume she is... That's the serving girl right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well. You said I remember her well in reference to the waitress. Did she have any particular features that you can identify her by? Particular features? It's a disgrace, that's what it is. Sorry? You can see all the way up to her... You know, she's practically naked in that uniform. So the particular feature you recognize about the waitress is her outfit. Anyone could wear just such a uniform. Even me. Mr. Wright, please spare the court of any further mental anguish from that image. Don't get all excited, Nick. You've got to keep yourself together. I guess I got a bit carried away. Sure. There are other things I recognize about her, too. Seems pretty sure of himself. What should I do? Press hard to see what he does recognize. Sure, you saw a waitress take the coffee over to the victim. What matters is whether that waitress was Maggie Bird or not. Right. Mr. Kudo, these other features that you recognize about the defendant, I'd ask you to add them to your testimony. Sure. There was a ribbon in her hair, and her apron straps were loose. You do seem to remember several details about her appearance. What about the most crucial detail of all, her face? Phew, as if I wouldn't remember that.
Objection!
The witness noticed the straps on the accused apron. He's unlikely to make a mistake about her face. That's right. The Even tell you the color of the ribbon in her hair if it was red. So you see, there's nothing wrong with the witness's eyesight. There's no doubt he remembers the waitress pretty well. What should I do? I get the feeling there's something more to this somehow. Why is that come up? See, for me, it's like, well, I want to go with that, because that one seems odd compared to what they were saying, so... The identifying features you described are all things you would see from the back. So what? Is it possible that you never saw the waitress from the front at all? Oh, the one who had the bandage on her head. Forgot about her.
Objection!
Huh. He's got you there, Gramps. We'll normally talk about facial features when they're asked to describe someone. But this witness's testimony is nothing but straps and ribbons. Harassment! Tell you I'm not obsessed with straps and ribbons. I'm just telling you what I saw. Mr. Kudo, the court requests that you add details about any identifying features. Features you observed from the front, that is, to your testimony. Sure. This old man's testimony is getting longer and longer. I can't find a hole in it soon. It'll get even longer, I bet. There wasn't anything that caught my interest about her when I saw her from the front. You didn't find anything to be distinct, but you did clearly see the witness's face, yes? No question about it. I didn't come this far to back down. Now, Kudo never backs down. That's not the answer I was looking for, but okay. This has turned into a matter of pride for old CD now, I guess. Wonder if you really did see Maggie's face or not. Like I thought, we need some concrete proof of this. Proof that the old guy didn't see the waitress clearly from the front. Think old CD really saw Maggie do it? Well, probably had his eye on the waitress the whole time. That's why he was there. But he was there for the cute outfits, right? Not the waitress. I guess... she makes a good point, though. Hey, did I just say something clever? I wonder if the waitress Mr. Kudo saw really was Maggie. That's what we have to figure out, Nick. And the young man was reading the sports paper. Right, so what I'm thinking is... the apron. Because it's like, yeah, if he's paying attention to the, like, the uniform, essentially, like the outfit, and nothing caught his interest, then it wasn't Maggie, because he would have noticed all the stuff on the front. Like, the big red stain would be a thing, at least. Before, at least. Then after it would have the coffee on it, you know.
Objection!
Mr. Kudo, I would like you to please take a look at this. Cute. Filthy thing would suit filth like you just perfectly. Actually, it reminds me of what my grandson looks like, just after he's done eating. Have you ever seen this before? Of course I haven't. You think I'd forget something as dirty as that, Well, you half-witted clot. That face, look at him, he's so smug like, I've got you now, mate. Uh-oh? What? What is it? Since I said, you half-witted clot, there's been an eerie silence in here. Mr. Kudo, this apron is the apron worn by the defendant on the day of the poisoning. Ah. And as you just said yourself, you wouldn't forget something like this. Which means if you had really seen this apron before... Yes, you know what I'm getting at. You couldn't have possibly seen the waitress from the front. Oops. Witness? Can't just oops your way out of this. Huh. Oh well. Looks like we finally have a genuine trial on our hands. Listen, Trite. Here are the facts. On the day of the incident, there was only one waitress in the restaurant. That being the defendant, Miss Maggie Bird. Exactly. And when the one waitress put the poison into the coffee cup, this old guy was watching. I hope you understand the gravity of the situation, Mr. Gadot. The fate of the defendant may rest on what you say you remember seeing. Just tell the court exactly what you saw, Gramps. You can rely on me, Captain. My nog is in perfect working order. I can't remember a single occasion where I forgot what burger a customer wanted. I remember. Probably more like he messed up so many times he's blocking it out. Very well. Let's test just how good your memory and attention to details is, Mr. Kudo. Tell us what you remember about the victim. About the victim. He was another of those pesky young types, wearing a broken pair of spectacles. He had a newspaper in his right hand, and the noisy brat kept rustling its pages. The young man was listening to the wireless. I remember that well. And the serving girl in question brought over the Javachino. The little fidget picked up the cup with his free hand and took a sip. The testimony we have just heard was to test how credible the witness's memory is. It seems to me that he remembers the victim in a great deal of detail. Oh yes, I hate those you-know-what types who are so vague about everything. How are we going to handle this, Nick? We only need to do one thing. Just need to prove that the old man's memory is shot. Just trip him up, you mean? Isn't that kind of cruel? Suppose, but it's what I do best. Yeah, it is. Okay, about the victim. He was another of those pesky young types wearing a broken pair of spectacles. Spectacles. Dark glasses to you. One of those lenses was green, but the other was broken. Newfangled rubbish. That's why I remember him so well. He did have some kind of lens over his left eye, but I wouldn't have called it a pair of glasses. He seems to have been wearing some rather modern-looking shades. Perhaps I should take to wearing some and rival Mr. Gadot's sharp appearance. Better come up with something sharp and quick. Guess I'm waiting to see if I should challenge him about the spectacles. Okay. He had a newspaper in his right hand and the noisy brat kept rustling its pages. The newspaper was a sports paper, was it? That young hooligan. I nearly asked him, can't you even read without fidgeting, How was I supposed to be able to read the back page of all that rustling going on? I needed to find out if Guts and Braun retained his championship title. It was his paper, not yours. You wanted to know so bad. Why didn't you buy your own? What are you looking at me like that for, How dare you judge me? Ow, ow! Guts and Braun got beaten yesterday, by the way. Anyway, the only thing I can think of right now, why have you highlighted to me it was in his right hand? Why is that significant? The young man was listening to the wireless, I remember that well. The wireless? The decadent young rascal. In my day, it was one or the other. Read the paper or listen to the wireless. Oh boy. And using an earpiece, it's selfish, that's what it is. Straining my ears, but I couldn't catch any of it. Was he that desperate to listen to the radio? You look at me like that for, Dare you feel sorry for me? Ow, ow! And the serving girl in question brought over the Javachino. You mean the waitress? You only saw from behind, right? You're one of those, are you? Never let anything go, isn't that right? Pretty much. Maybe. What does it matter if I saw her from the front or from behind? Oh! Oh! I better not push it until I've got some hard evidence. The little fidget picked up the cup with his free hand and took a sip, so that should have been his left hand, right? His free hand. Yes. Which hand was that? Thank you. Weren't you listening before, cloth ears? I said he was rustling the newspaper with his right hand, didn't I? If his free hand wasn't his right hand, then which hand was it? Ow! Perhaps the great Mr. Trite has 3 hands. No, just thinking. Yeesh. Only asking, no need to gang up on me and treat me like a freak. The whole point of this cross-examination is to establish just one thing. This old guy's memory has more holes than a slice of Swiss. Guess we just need to find a contradiction in his testimony somewhere, huh? Anything will do. Even the smallest detail, we just need one mistake and he's ours. Alright, so what I'm thinking is... very much this case of... if you're drinking out of that, and clearly where the stain is, you're picking that up with your right hand. Presumably, because it's like, if it's hot, because it should be because it's just arrived, you wouldn't pick up the cup itself. So sometimes I drink my tea by picking up the cup rather than with the handle, or put my other fingers through the handle around the back, but it depends how hot it is, how warm it is, all that type of stuff. So it's like, assuming it just arrived and then he immediately drank from it, he would pick it up with the handle. If he's picking up with the handle, he'd have to use his right hand. That's what makes sense to me. That doesn't work. And it's a contradiction. So, we'll present that at the start of the next pod. Ta-da for now.